TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Oh, I got the boxes like this. Let me see if I can do this. There we go. Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host here, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time for the closing bell for Monday, June 17, 2024. The weekend is over. I just sent out the alert to the ECSI VIPs. I'm like, holy shit, we got 2 weeks left in June, and it's already July 1st, July 4th weekend. All-Star break, MLB, dog days of summer, Olympic year, of course, preseason football, Labor Day, kids back to school. I mean, blink and it's gone. Shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership, WagerWire. If you haven't downloaded the app, shame on you. Head on over to Google Play or wherever you download the apps. It's free. From there, myself, Travis, Zach, the rest of the team and community will take over from there. I promise you. For the rest of 2024 and beyond. And if you want to join this amazing team, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. I promise they'll take great care of you. From the south side of Chicago, who sang that song? Russell Saylor? Anyone out there? The baddest man of all? No one knows yet? Bad Leroy Brown? Who is Jim Croce? I'm dating myself. I apologize. Mr. Raleigh Magnuson. What is up, champ?
What is up, my friend? If you had brought me in, I would have known the answer to that, being from, those next to the woods there. So, a little sweaty because I just got back in practicing my 3-footers because, I had to make sure I'm on top of my game, more than I got I think a gimme range for the average person might have just extended a little bit after yesterday. With I saw that one on Twitter, with the choke job that Rory had yesterday, my friend. I know I've been waiting to talk about it, but I couldn't believe my eyes for a guy who's going to go down as an all-time great no matter what happens the rest of his career. Hasn't won a major in 10 years and had about as tailor-made an opportunity as he's ever had, let alone the ones that he's won. So couldn't believe my eyes, and not to mention, not going to be as big of a story, but Cantlay with a couple of bad missed, 5-6 footers that, if it wasn't for Rory, he'd probably be getting a little bit more of the brunt of that today as well. So I am doing great, my friend. It was a fun finish, but obviously for any Rory fans, you're a little salty today.
I talked about it with Andrew. You got the email late last night. I didn't divulge into it today in today's email. Already sent to the ECSI VIPs. Anyone watching and listening wants to know what the hell is that? That's our actual plays that we play every day. We send them out via text to your cell phone and to your email, reading the market, what we've done now for 9 years. And what I've done basically, I've never lowered the retail monthly price, but what we've done is to welcome to the ECSI family. We call it, it's our own gym membership for just $3 a day. I get all our action, our breakdowns, and the whys, a lot of future plays that we add throughout the year. Last week, +7 units in the MLB, plus in our PGA US Open alert on Wednesday. We had Bryson DeChambeau as one of our pre-flops at 20-1. So always fun. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can send an email to eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com, or just go over to Twitter at EC Sports Invest. Follow me, I'll follow you back, answer whatever you want. So I hate the C word. I despise it in professional athletes. I really despise it in golf. I talked about it last night. Bill Buckner, 86, Red Sox, Mets. The ball goes through his legs. He was banished from the city forever until he finally came back. The real story is if he makes that play, they're still going to extra innings. The fact that he missed the ball that allowed the Mets to win that game and then eventually win in 7. You know, I am the number one Rory McIlroy fan in the whole wide world, president of his fan club. What is not getting said here is how Bryson DeChambeau, who the writing was on the wall, you saw the great play at the Masters. You saw them knocking at the door at the PGA. The fact that he shot like 19 under, and it was Xander that shot 20 or 21 to steal that. It wasn't Bryson playing bad. Shout out, of course, to Mr. Berry, Sports Spotlights. Yo, this was different because no one's talking about Bryson DeChambeau started the day with a 3-shot lead. No one's talking about he couldn't hit it down the fairway with a 9-iron. It was right, it was left, and every time he was in that shit grass, whatever you want to call it, he had a shot at it. The guy was scrambling. He must have scrambled 28,000 omelets. That's how many times he was scrambling last time. And he was just hanging around. Rory, 2-shot lead. The stat that came out on Twitter leading up to 16 and 18, where he missed the 2 3-foot putts, 496 for 496. Perfect 496. He misses on 16. He misses on 18. This is Bryson DeChambeau a few years ago. Who's the mad scientist? He's quirky. He is, you either love him or you hate him. And what did he do? He decided to jump to live, grab the bag. He had lost his luster. I'm going to say this. He lost his luster on the PGA, the quirkiness and everything. They offered him a boatload of money that 99.9% of us would say, all right, shit, I can play golf 3 days a week. I can wear shorts. The crowd's going crazy. I kind of like that. But he started to round into form this year, and he started to be more public friendly. Okay. And he started to get liked at the Masters. He started to get liked at the PGA. You saw that side of him. No one's talking about a half hour prior. And when Rory, I think, had just birdied to take the lead, that gentleman that was in the wheelchair, Rory gave him the high five. And then a half hour later, Bryson gives him a high five and signs his cap. Well, that's the video that everyone's seeing on social media, not the 1.5 hour prior that Rory did the same thing. At the PGA, Bryson's at the driving range smoking butts. I know he's not smoking butts, but driving the shit out of the ball, hoping Xander choked it off. It was a par 5 on the 18. There was no way Xander was choking that off. Rory was in the clubhouse. He wasn't practicing putts. He wasn't at the range practicing his driving. Why? Because he knew Bryson was going to win. He jumped in that car and got the hell out of Dodge. So my little vent here is how all of a sudden Bryson, from not too long ago, he went to live. He's a piece of doo-doo. Now is the hero, and Rory is the zero.
And I think people still like Rory, but I think the fact that it's been 10 years since he's won and he's been so close so many other times magnifies the talking points on him today. But you're right with Bryson. I mean, he has come around a whole heck of a lot, especially from, before Liv being kind of the enemy of Brooks Koepka, who was massively liked on tour. And now, that beef has been squashed a little bit. And, whether they're friendly or not, I don't know. But no, he is absolutely coming around and obviously an unbelievable sand shot on 18 to set himself up for the win there. But no, I mean Rory. It's gonna, as far as having the 2-shot lead down the stretch there, for this major for a major that he hasn't won or any major in 10 years. That's about as tough of a pill to swallow for him, I imagine, as he can get. So, but no, I mean Cantlay himself. It's not going to be talked about at all. But he had some close calls that he should have made and could have been in that same thing. We could have had a 3-way playoff if those two guys make those. I Cantlay was probably 2, 4, 5-foot putts, but for a guy that good, that's obviously one that you make 99% of.
And you got the email Wednesday night, okay? And again, we broke it down. We had the top tier, and then we had the long shots, and then we had the real long shots. And looking at the board on Sunday, I was like that proud dad moment. Our Rory stake was on Saturday at plus 400, but we had Bryson pre-flop at 20-1. We had Tony Finau at like 50-1. We had Cantlay at 67-1. We had Russell Henley at about 90-1, who I think had the best round of Sunday. So again, we're 3 for 3 in the majors, and our golf eyes couldn't be sharper. No one talking about Mr. Human and Scotty Scheffler. He didn't get arrested this weekend. Was fortunate to make the cut. He probably wished he didn't make the cut. Watching the DraftKings live board Saturday, and they were given the tournament. Oberg was down to plus 190. You talk about someone pooping themselves, and we knew carnage. Jeff Sherman on Wednesday, me and Brady Kannon were talking about it on Tea Time Wagers, under over 275 in a hook, so it was 4.5. He was spot on. Absolutely spot on. And I don't know the name of the guy that said at the PGA. He was the guy that did the chip after. He does all the talking for golf, walks the course. At the PGA, he said someone could get 20, 21. He was spot on there. He said someone might get close to double digits, but he doubted. I think he settled in that 6 or 7. But Oberg, Scheffler, we knew there was going to be carnage there, and it was like there was a double bogey for everyone. It was, were you going to get 2 or 3 of them, and were you going to get a triple or a quad? It wasn't if, it was just when.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I mean, it's a nice change of pace. So it's interesting to watch when you go from that to, like you said, the 20 under. I don't remember how long ago it was, a month ago or what. But no, it's going to be interesting to see what we've got. Obviously, one more here in a few weeks, and we've got a lot more guys that are rounding into form now. We had a little stretch there where there wasn't as many guys. I mean, the dominance that Scotty Scheffler is not to be undertaken, but you had a lot of guys that just haven't been quite informed that you would expect to be. So curious to see if Bryson can hang on and keep being informed. Now you've got Cantlay and Finau, who didn't really get a ton of respect in the odds like they have in the past couple of years this week, and obviously disproved that a little bit. So I'm curious to see. And you had Matsuyama, who played fairly well this weekend as well. Sam Burns is starting to round out a little bit. He's playing better. I had him a few weeks ago as somebody I was watching. So a lot of guys that are starting to turn it around, in my opinion, going forward into these next few weeks.
I'm going to say something that I'll probably get yelled and screamed at. And listen, I believe in excellence. I like to remember the good, not the bad or the evil. And I'm just saying this. My dad introduced me to golf with Jack Nicklaus, and then, or he called him Jack Nicklaus, excuse me. And then Tiger Woods came along, and it was his prodigal son. Greatness. I love greatness. And we were witnessing that with Scotty Scheffler until this weekend. I expect him to bounce back, obviously, with a bunch of others. I'm just going to say this out loud. Tiger, thank you. Thank you for all you've done for golf. Every one of these guys that are playing now, the kids that are at the driving range right now, thank you. Okay. Play the British Open, shut her down. You can be, obviously, we want you involved in the PGA, and it looks like the PGA and Liv are going to kiss and make up however they do that. I assume the PGA, I thought, is working on the exemptions where he can play all 4 majors if he wants. Shit, I wouldn't mind to see him go on the senior tour and kill it over there. I don't know your thoughts there, but I don't need to see the limping around. The body's just not there. There's some courses he can't even walk. It's just a fight to make the cut. Thoughts on Tiger Woods?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does, whether it's Augusta or just the 4 majors or anything like that for another year or so. I did hear reports that, he at least was, again, the limping around is obviously a bad look, and it definitely doesn't, ring a ton of trueness to what I'm about to say, but I did hear reports that he was, at least after 1 or 2 of his rounds was going out to the range and hitting some balls, which he hasn't really done in the last year or so. So if that's a good sign, then that's a good sign. But like you said, as it doesn't mean he's a new version of himself. It just means he's a little bit better maybe than he's been the last handful of months. So I'm with you. I don't want to see him limping around either. I would, if he's ready to go and he's healthy, then absolutely. But even if we're talking about the senior tour and he's limping around, I would love to see him on there. Play some good golf if that's what we're talking about. But no, I mean, if his health isn't there, then I'm ready to stop seeing him out there limping around and struggling. So I do think we'll probably have a better idea within the next handful of months if that's in the cards going forward to next year.
Before we switch from golf to high above courtside here, surprises, disappointments. Who out there shocked you? Of course, Scheffler not competing was probably one of the biggest ones. There was some big names out there that missed the cut. There was some that struggled to make the cut that were just, I don't want to say going through the motions. Nothing worse. How about this? Francisco Molinari gets a hole in one to make the cut, and he's probably saying to himself, God damn it, why did I get the hole in one?
Yeah, I mean, and then he follows that up with a 77 on day 3. He was okay on yesterday, but yeah, 13 over, that wasn't fantastic. No, I mean, we haven't seen, not a surprise, but we just haven't seen Brooks Koepka really in form at these majors this year. There might have been one where he was decent at, but for a guy who always steps it up in the majors, we haven't seen him quite in form. So that would be one guy who, at some point, I mean, if he's healthy and he's still going out there this next year and a half or so, it probably is going to surprise us. Maybe not surprise us, but pop up out of nowhere and really compete for one of these majors. But the way he's going right now, I don't see it for this next one in a few weeks in the Open, the British Open. But that's one that I've been waiting for to see if he breaks out. And he wasn't bad. I mean, he finished tied for 26, but obviously 6 over, whatever that is, 12 shots out the lead isn't quite where he's looking for. Not a surpriser, but Min Woo Lee has been a guy that's been really, really solid lately who, maybe just wasn't the best fit for him there, but not fantastic. Again, tied for 21st, so it's all relative when you're talking about, where they are in the standings and whatnot compared to, who's winning it. But what's his name? Bhatia, Akshay Bhatia, another guy who, again, 3 over, but top 20 at a major is big news for him. That's a big finish for him there. Thomas Dietrich's been flirting around a little bit. Curious to see if he's got a shot at any of the upcoming tournaments. And then Sergio kind of coming up out of nowhere, one of his best finishes in a major in a while. So that one, I guess, would be the one where you would call a surprise out of what I'm seeing right now in front of my face here, my man.
Yeah, and for me, Saturday, Sunday, what was shocking, and I'm going to mix up the days here. I want to say on Thursday, Xander was 6 for 18 on hitting fairways, and he shot an even par, put himself in position in Saturday, and he was one of those guys lurking. I was waiting to fire. And Brady said after the monkey's off his back and he finally won his first major that it was probably going to be hard to duplicate. Obviously, he was correct. But the one name hanging around yesterday who I thought could pose a threat, who I thought had the mentality, the one that's not going to make a lot of mistakes, that can keep it calm, cool, and collected, was Matsuyama. And this guy has been slowly creeping back. And he was hanging around, didn't make that, one big surge that like, oh shit, here we go. As you talked about the Cantlay, the DeChambeau, and the Rorys, where Cantlay's happy that he fired. My eyes were on the write up on Wednesday. I was like, yeah, no one likes you. I know that. And I says, but the numbers don't lie. And sooner than later, he's going to pop. And as I said with DeChambeau, he has all the creativity. Did he have the patience for the 72 holes? And I'm going to tell you right now, Riley, when that driver goes astray and you're right, left, right, left, right, left, and go back to Phil that one year that had it 1 on 18 and he pulled out the driver and the caddy's like, dude, here's the 3-iron. Just hit the 3. At some point, don't you got to say, hey, it's not working. Let's go. I mean, yeah. Bryson can hit a 3-iron 250 dead down the middle.
Yeah, I can't remember what hole it was, and it was like 7-iron 200 something, and I was like, gee, goodness gracious, one of the par threes on the back there. So, no, you're right, and just going back to Hideki, I mean, he's got 2 top 10s each of the last 2 weeks now. The Memorial and the U.S. Open hasn't been playing as consistently. So I'm curious to see if we start seeing him in these events consistently, these non-major events. He's gonna win. He's gonna be in contention whether it's the next major or one of these random events here these next few weeks. So that's definitely someone that I'm gonna be watching here. I don't know if he's in the field either of these next 2 weeks. The Travelers or Rocket Mortgage right off the top of my head without looking at it, but wouldn't be surprised if he's posing a threat on any of those. And then down the stretch as well. I'm not sure where he hasn't played a ton, so I'm not sure where he would be in the FedEx Cup standings. But a guy that could make a late push there. As far as the FedEx Cup standings. I haven't looked at the FedEx Cup standings in a while, but one to watch for sure. So, good golf conversation, my friend. There's a fairly important basketball game here. I guess depending on what your nervous level is for the Celtics here. Maybe it's a walk in the park. But basketball game tonight, my friend. You are high above courtside, as you said. A little extended after the 3-0 start to the series, and then a shellacking by the Mavericks. Everyone's hooting and hollering for the Mavericks, but we're still 3-1 here, my friend. Any thoughts that we're in for a little bit of a? Again, I don't think the Celtics are going to be scared at all, even if they drop this game. But any nervousness going on in your neck of the woods at all?
It's one of these. I was on Sports Grid 3 times this week, and I was on. I talked to Joe and Scott on yesterday. And it was one of these where the Celtics aren't going to change their offense. They're just going to keep launching threes, okay? And so Joe asked me, what does Dallas have to do? This has got to be a Kyrie game. Kyrie got the monkey off of his back. He finally beat the Celtics for the first time in like 14 games. Luke is going to get his. You can pencil them in for 29, 30, 31, 32, 35, whatever the number is. The supporting cast is going to get his big game for Lively. And the funny thing is the starters didn't play the fourth quarter. It allowed Tim Hardaway Jr. all of a sudden, his dad was sitting in the stands like, holy shit, that's my boy. That's my boy right there. And so you gave some people some reps, some opportunities to kind of make some shots and get your feet wet. I was at the Pacers game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics started 12-0. Carlisle calls a timeout. Pacers regroup. Should have won that game in regulation. 2 turnovers late. Should have won it in overtime. Turnover late. My point is, the place is going to be rocking. They are going to be all in Kyrie's grill. He's not going to be able to sage the court like he did earlier in his career here. So if Kyrie comes out and hits 3, 4, 5 of his first 6, 7 shots, Luke is on, Lively's on, and PJ Washington hits a couple shots, because you got to embrace this crowd. You can't get blown out in the first quarter. I go back to the Celtics with Garnett, Pierce, and Allen. Game 6, Kobe came back, and they blew him out in the first quarter and half. It was a wrap. And usually the thought process is, hey, you beat us, You were up 50. We're going to reciprocate and do the same thing to you. We're going to make you wish you didn't come back here for game 5. And I think the Edmonton Oilers and Panthers, it's the same scenario, which we'll talk about tomorrow, of course. So the number is 6.5. There is some money coming in now on the Celtics at the Circa, at the Superbook. South Point, Chris Andrews still at 6.5. DraftKings at 7. Caesars at 6.5. Under opened at 209.5. There's only one way that number could go up, and that is up. The more games you play, it always seems tighter. To me, it's an under. To me, it's Dallas. And if you play Dallas, you got to have the cojones to sprinkle some beer and pizza on that money line and say, hey, we're going to go back for a game 6. Or the Celtics win by double digits, and it's not even close.
Right, and I'm looking at the first quarter minus 2.5. I would respect a little bit higher than that if what you're talking about is the opening quarter, opening half blowout. And again, it absolutely could happen, and that is the one way that this game gets out of hand. But at some point, if you let and again, I'm not nervous for the Celtics as far as the entire series is concerned, but I do think the Mavs have a chance tonight. And if you continue to let this team, who down the stretch, Luka and Kyrie haven't been fantastic late in these games like they were in some of these past series. If you keep letting them in that door a little bit and keep them in striking distance in these second halves, they're going to heat up and whether that be steal a game here in a game like this or make it kind of just a classic down to the wire game. If you leave them in the door there, I think they could have a chance of doing that. So I'm with you. I'm leaning towards the Mavericks at least covering the 6.5, but don't feel totally confident. And I'm leaning towards it being a little closer in the first half, but as you mentioned, if it could get out of hand, and if it does, it's going to get probably very out of hand fast if it does end up going that way for the Celtics.
And I'll just throw this out here. And it was funny when I was giving out my props. I went, you'll laugh. I gave out my NBA props to Sports Grid last night, and I gave out some Red Sox Yankees yesterday. Judge was the only one in green to hit that was saying that was going to hit a homer in the whole MLB yesterday, plus 220. And then I gave Cutter Crawford over 4.5, over 5.5 strikeouts. He got 9. Talked about the first half over 4.5. It got to 5. But my point is, I try to stay away from the big names when it comes to the props. I get 3 NBA props that you got in your email today. Where I'm going with this, though, is don't forget, we remember what we saw last. It wouldn't shock me if you got one of those Jason Tatum games where he, was 40 points or something close, and as much as Jaylen Brown should get the MVP, they say, you know what, Jaylen, you got the Eastern Conference one. We want to give this one to Tatum in the closeout game. Here he is, 40, 10, and 10. Jason Tatum, MVP, NBA Finals.
I'm with you. He's got to take it from him. He's got to take it from him with the game like you're talking about. Because I agree. I think it's close enough that if he takes it and not steals the game, but steals the award with a performance like that, I think it is going to go his way. But if it's another toss up and they're close to the same production, then it'll go Jaylen Brown's way probably. But I'm with you. I think you could see that because there's not a ton of pressure on the Celtics yet. If obviously the Mavericks get this one and we're talking 3-2, then the pressure goes back to the Celtics for Game 6 heading to Dallas. But I think they'll be playing loose tonight. And as much as I think the Mavericks can stay in it, it wouldn't shock me if we get some crazy performance from Tatum and it's just a runaway game like it was in Dallas the other night, but for the opposite way for the Celtics.
Russell Saylor says Holiday led game 2 in score, and he's 100-1 tonight. Seems long. Yes, and I did put 100%, Russell. But again, I would not be shocked if just deep down Jason wants to try to have one of those games. It could be one of these where the Celtics get out early. Al hits a couple threes. White hits a couple threes. They're just spreading the ball around. Holiday, Brown, and then, Jason, 10 in the first, 10 in the second. They got the game in hand, and next thing you know, they stop feeding him. He's taking it to the hole, 37, 10, and 10. And, now the voters are like, shit. The hell with it. We'll give it to Tatum. Because I'm telling you right now, the NBA wants Tatum to be some kind of face here. And I talked about the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Eagles and Chiefs. Jalen Hurts got the MVP in the regular season. Chiefs and Mahomes win the Super Bowl, and he got the real MVP, which was obviously a Super Bowl championship and the MVP. And I could see Tatum kind of snicker and saying, "Hey, Jalen, you're 1B here. This is my team, my house. Hey, that trophy looks good, but look at this one, you know."
No, I'm with you. As far as especially if it's a toss up, truly a toss up, then you're right. They do want to make him that type of face because Jaylen Brown has proven to be that guy when it comes to clutch moments. Going back to the finals that they lost, he was the one that showed up the most, and now he's shown up obviously in this one. But as far as for the full season, doesn't quite have that same type of moxie that the NBA wants for like they have in Jason Tatum. So I'm with you. It'll be a big performance that it has to be, and a little bit of a gap, but it can definitely happen. It's definitely possible.
NBA, MLB, there's a decent slate. You got the write-up. We're going to have some fun today. We're looking for some runs to be scored in a couple of games, team totals-wise. I will say tough week for the Dodgers. Yamamoto leaves the game, and then next thing you know, you see one of the coaches running up to Dave Roberts, so doesn't look good there. Mookie gets hit on the hand, fractured. I don't know his timetable. I saw the Diamondbacks, Corbin Carroll go down. And then yesterday or the day before, another outfielder go down. They're dropping like flies. It is Paul Skeens Day. I've seen some 7.5s. I've seen some 8.5s. I mean, when's the last time you saw the Pirates minus 175 against the Reds?
And it's a minus 215 on the first 5, my man. I mean, the numbers there, and the total at 8.5. I mean, either we're getting, Spears on the other end of it blown up a little bit, or maybe there's some leakage for Skeens tonight. I don't know. Reds' first 5 team total is over 1.5, so is going some respect there for Skeens Day. So, but just about impossible to get into unless you think he's keeping him under a run and a half in the first 5 there. So I'm probably sitting myself out of that one. Obviously, if you've been riding it from day one, he's been a pretty good meal ticket for the most part there for most people. But obviously pretty damn tough to get into there. So any thoughts that he's got some regression, whether it be today or next couple times out, though?
I was talking to a friend today. I don't know if he pitches Sunday against Tampa, I think it is, or Monday. It's their next after Tampa. Is it Tampa this weekend?
They've got you're right, Tampa this weekend, and then they go back to Cincinnati after that.
Yeah, so it could.
He's slated right now, at least on this projected Sunday against Tampa.
Okay, so which would be good for him. I think it'd be his first double start of his career. I'd rather have him do that than have the Reds catch him twice, especially pitching in that Banjo Park there. Don't know much about Spears. I'd be interested. I'm rooting for the kid. He's excitement. I'm not calling him the Caitlin Clark of the WNBA, but it's definitely gaining some traction. And again, their big 3 there of Keller, Jones, and now Skeens is something to work with. Now, whether they decide to pay them all, that's a whole nother story.
Right. And next game up to ask you about Cardinals and Marlins in Miami. Sonny Gray, Braxton Garrett. Braxton Garrett, a guy the last couple of years who has shown some flashes of being a good starter. Not good at all. He's had a couple of solid starts, but 4 out of 6 starts have been pretty rough for him in his ERA, 6.10. Didn't quite start until middle of May, so this is only start number 7 for him. But any thoughts that we could be seeing a little bit of a bounce back, whether it be tonight or anytime soon from him? The total on this game tonight, obviously Sonny Gray's been good, but the total on this game tonight is 7.5.
Yeah, it used to be an autoplay back when Goldie and Arenado were raking. This Cardinals team used to rake lefties. So when you saw them facing a lefty, it was an autoplay for their team total over. The only thing, St. Louis playing better. The only thing I would look into is a first 5 minus the hook, but I think Vegas is on to that as well. I think Miami plays tough here. I had an overnight number of 160 and now 148 at Circa. A little money trickling in on Miami. Maybe Miami steals this one. I'm going to stay away because I think this is a big public side tonight with Sonny Gray.
I'm with you, and I'll go, and I'm not going to it, but I'll lean toward the juice way under. So I don't know what the best way to get into it, but I'm not leaning towards taking the under 3.5 at a bad price, but I'll lean towards this being like a 1-1, 2-1, 2-0 type game through 5 innings. So if you can find yourself into some other way than that, so I guess I'm leaning towards Braxton Garrett bouncing back a little bit tonight, I guess is what I'm trying to say there. So. Let's see. A couple of other games to talk about. Boston, I believe Boston Yankees was the I wasn't able to watch it last night. Was the Sunday night game in Boston, correct? Now they are in Toronto. Pivetta versus Kikuchi. Toronto minus 125, over under 7.5. These two guys lately, Pivetta last time out 4 earned runs, a little bit of hit or miss for the most part so far this season. And Kikuchi has been pretty good the last two times out. Any feel for this one at all for the Boston Red Sox, my friend?
Hats off to the Red Sox. Couple games now over 500. Took 2 out of 3 from the Phils. Took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. Stole 9 bases last night. Mr. Hamilton had 4 himself. Used to be an autoplay. The traveling team from the ESPN game bet against them. So I don't want to call going to Toronto a long flight. I don't want to also say that it's not it's a divisional game against a team that's struggling, a team that you're ahead of right now. I'm not calling it a letdown spot. But with that, I will say if you were to play this game, you're supposed to play the Jays tonight. Kikuchi overnight 125, now down to 118. Some money trickling in on the Sox. Scores got them playing some great ball. They're a bunch of no names. They really are. Duran. The list is endless. It really is. Hamilton. The only big name there is Cora, the manager, and Rafael Devers, and that's it. And I know they'll get a feisty start from Pivetta. He's one of those pit bulls. Even when he doesn't have it, finds a way to get through 5 or 6. When I was doing the show with Andrew earlier, came up Bo Bichette out of the lineup today. I don't know if it's just a scheduled day's rest, but he is out today. So that's one less bat to worry about. But again, the travel after the ESPN game is always a fade. So slight lean to the Jays tonight.
I think I'm with you, and it looked like it was about a pick 'em for tomorrow's game between these two teams here. No Vladdy Bomb. It's been almost 2 weeks since a Vladdy Bomb, so maybe I'll lean towards a Vladdy Bomb tonight. He's got a few off of Pivetta in his lifetime.
How about the Yukon guy? What's the odds on the Mr. Springer?
Springer, let's see. I don't have my odds pulled up. Let me get it real quick. Springer is 550 plus 550.
I'll take Yukon for pizza and beer tonight.
Springer,
Mr.
he's
Springer.
got one lifetime, 10 for 27, I think it is, against Pivetta lifetime. So solid numbers there. 1 bomb previously, so not a bad spot to look at there. Let's see, handful of other games going on. Not a full slate tonight. Giants and the Cubs, 2 teams that are below 500, trying to get something going. Brewers in Anaheim tonight. Carlos Rodriguez and Jose Soriano. Brewers minus 120. A little concerned about the Brewers. 42-29 as short favorites there.
Yes, and I'll go back to a second. I don't know if you went over them or I'm going to go back to the Giants for a second. Guys, I've been talking about this team for the last couple of weeks, and I've been talking about the Mets and Pete Alonso and Diaz when he comes off the DL. Alonso is getting hot. The Mets are hot all of a sudden. So will they be – they're a million games back. I don't know if they all of a sudden now that they've won, I think, 10 out of the last 12 or something stupid, that now they think that they're in and they don't sell. But my point is, if you don't have pizza and beer money on this Giants team, anyone watching and listening, just run to the window. Just look at what's going on with the Dodgers. I don't know what's going on with Yamamoto. I don't know when Betts is coming back. I know they got an endless supply of money. I know they'll bring some guys in. They got Biggio, Kevin Biggio from Toronto a couple weeks ago. He'll probably be moved in. They always plug and play. Are they going to lose the division? Probably not. But again, the Giants are one of those teams that are looking to make moves and they got money. So just do yourself a favor. It's June 17th, 2024 at 5:55. Pizza and beer money, and then you can come back to me in August and September and yell at me. I don't care.
Yep. And the crazy thing is there's only 2 teams in the National League that you would consider out of it right now, but there's a lot of pretenders on that list of teams in the wild card race. There's everyone up until Colorado and Miami, if they're not in the wild card spot, is within a game and a half. So it it is a wild race right now, and you might have some teams that think they're in it that could be paying some prices. But I think there's the majority of these teams, I think, know their role here and know that they're not actually in it. Because I would be shocked if the Mets got aggressive, let alone not sold out of it. But you're right. I mean, the Mets and the Cubs are 1.5. Pirates, Cincinnati, 1 back out of the wild card there. So. It's going to be a wild race in the wild card if until some of these teams start to slip a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a tough call. That's what MLB wanted to do when they added these extra wild cards, is to keep teams in. And there's not many that are out other than your White Sox and maybe the Marlins. But there's not Colorado. Yeah, so there's not a lot out, and you got those teams that are simmering right now. The Mets are one of them. We're waiting for a Cubs explosion. All of a sudden, the Red Sox are 2 games over 500. And what are the Red Sox right now out of that last wild card?
The AL is a little bit tougher. The Red Sox are 3 behind the Twins. The Twins in that last spot are 40 and 32. And for reference, the last spot in the NL is below 500 right now.
So whether it's the Diamondbacks of last year, the Texas Rangers, the Nationals of a few years ago, just get into the dance and anything can happen. The longer you play, the more the bridges and the back end start to shine. Guys that you said, who is this? What, just get to the dance. And that's what these teams are trying to do.
Right, and if anyone has just been kind of watching some of these teams and not realizing how mediocre a lot of these, bubble teams are, I mean, you got the Cardinals as the second wild card team right now, which seems asinine the way 35 and 35. Obviously they've got a lot of room for improvement themselves, though. So, no, that is any other games to talk about tonight. You've got only one late game on ESPN Plus, and then the majority of these games are at a pretty reasonable time tonight.
I'm just going to throw this out here. In the WNBA, Dallas is at Minnesota. It was an overnight number of 9 with a 164. It's down to 161, a corrected number of 15.5. So I would assume, I don't have it in front of me, but I would assume someone's out for Dallas or something. Usually with these big corrected games like this, from a 9 to a 15.5, they have covered. Again, I'm not telling you to go play a unit, a half unit. Pizza and beer money. Keep an eye on Minnesota tonight. You can get it at minus 15 at DraftKings. I'll be keeping my eye on that. But other than that, no, it's a good good night of sports. Celtics looking for banner 18. And I apologize because you asked me about Milwaukee and the Angels. Yeah, Angels back end is horrendous. Yes, that number stinks to high heaven to me. It would be Angels or nothing. I had an overnight number of them favored, and now the money's come in on Milwaukee. I'm not a big Rodriguez guy. Soriano has shown flashes, so if you want to get in and even do some Angels first 5 there, I don't trust the Angels back end. They give up a ton of runs late, like your White Sox. Yeah. But again, that's probably the stinkiest number of the night.
Oh, for sure. And they're even a dog in the first 5. It's plus money on the Brewers in the first 5 there. So not a lot of love for Rodriguez there, or a lot of respect for Soriano, but probably more so on the Rodriguez side of it. I think it's only start number 2 for him here with the Brewers this year.
Closing thoughts.
Good weekend action, my friend. We are one major away from being done with majors in the world of golf, and we're depending on how these next two night of NBA and NHL go, we are close to the dog days of summer officially as far as baseball. And obviously, you mentioned some WNBA stuff, so maybe we tickle the popularity fancy coming up a little bit there. But should have some good UFC stuff this summer coming up as well. I think another pay-per-view, obviously disappointing with the no McGregor Chandler news coming up, but we should still have a good fight night in I think a week and a half or so for that. But we'll try and come hot and heavy with as much big news and big talking points as we can as we move past the NBA and NHL playoffs, my friend.
No shocker. Tyson, Jake Paul moved back. No shocker. Conor McGregor hurt. I talked to you. I am not a UFC guy. I'm working on trying to bring in a few more experts in that because I think it's a great sport to cover. I just listen. I'm not here to tell him, shame on you for what you've done to your body, what you've put into that body and your partying. I'm not calling you Oscar De La Hoya, but wink, wink. I've heard the rumblings myself. Big 303 all set. He's out. And, not shocked, put it that way. And when you put he's a lightning rod, especially in the UFC. When he fights, it's a sellout in 2 seconds. I get all the hoopla. But again, as someone that is past his prime, I'm waiting for Amanda to announce that she's going to come back. But again, my point is, thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ronda Rousey. Thank you, Mr. Connor. And there's the list is end. John Jones. The list is endless, but it's a young man and woman's game. Allow these guys to do their things. Let's not be a Cowboy Cerrone here and just, try to collect a check here and there. And, again, I started out half hour ago talking about remembering the greatness, the Tiger Woods. I loved Cerrone, was one of my favorites of all time, but I didn't like the Cerrone of the last 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. Enough's enough.
Right. And he was a guy that he's got so much heart that he doesn't, I'm not saying he doesn't care about his image, but he's willing to die on his sword and get his ass kicked a few times in a row if it means he's still, had a chance to fight for something as far as the end of his career. McGregor, I enjoy McGregor when he's fighting and when he's on, but I am not a McGregor, homer or a big fan base person with them, so I'm not. I try to stay as unbiased with him as possible. He's going to protect his image. I mean, he's not going to go in there and if he thinks he's. And I'm not saying he wasn't hurt, and I'm not saying he canceled because he thought he was going to get his, what kicked. But he's not a guy that's going to go in and take fights, against the highest guys in the division if he thinks he's going to get his, behind whoops. So. Curious to see what the next move is if they reschedule this with Chandler, who is a bad man. Or if we pivot a little bit here going forward, but obviously would love to see him because, like you said, he's a lightning rod. But he is past his prime. That I don't think that can be disputed, and there's a lot of people who are holding on to trying to expect him to be back to what he was, which was absolutely unbelievable when he was what he was. But he's not quite there anymore, and whether or not he's whatever he's on or isn't on, I'm not here to say, but it's an interesting, going to be an interesting, I'll say, next year to see, win or if we see him in the octagon again.
In 1 hour, myself and Brady Tinker will be back. Brady, I like to say the voice of Dallas sports, ESPN, Fox, a legend in the big star state. We'll be talking Dallas. We were scheduled for Friday to do the show and schedule conflicts. So I said, don't worry, we'll be back Monday. There'll be a game 5. Sure enough, there was. So he'll be on to talk about the temperature, what he expects from Luka and company, give us an update on CeeDee Lamb, Micah, and Dak and their contracts. He'll sprinkle in a little Patrick Mahomes. Tomorrow, I know Scotty Webb will be here at 6:15. Riley, are you available tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, myself and Riley will be back here around 5 o'clock before Scotty, and then we'll be back Wednesday with Brady Kannon, a signature event for this week in golf. And then I think Thursday and Friday could be our last show with Julian Edlow for the summer and DraftKings. And then Friday, the NCAA College Insiders with Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills. who was in Omaha all weekend for some exciting college baseball. So keep your eyes and ears there. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. Wish everyone a blessed day. Remember, it's Monday, guys. If you had a great weekend, God bless you. Save some, put it away for a rainy day. Go take the family out for some ice cream or something, some barbecue or something. Save that for we got a half a year left. We got almost 100 games of baseball, as Scotty Webb would say. A lot to do still. So we'll see you soon.